We all want our parts to be as strong and as lightweight as possible. In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to add dimple forming to your designs. So let's get into it. So whole operation number 2, we're going to be talking about dimple forming. Now you probably have heard this referred to as speed holes or that aerospace look, fighter pilot look. But what we're talking about is having a hole that is formed into what we call a dimple, and it adds a lot of different rigidity to the parts. And that's exactly why a lot of people do it. So it adds strength while reducing the weight, right? We're removing material, removing that hole through the part, and then adding in that backbone into the part that gets that rigidity back. I want you guys to think about this like a piece of paper. It can flop around, right? But if we add that fold and that backbone to the part, we can actually hold this piece of paper out, right? We have that rigidity. This is doing the same basic principle where it's adding that backbone there. So that's why people do it. How do we do it? Well, the dimple process is a secondary operation from the cutting one, just like all of our other hole operations here at SendCutSend, where we take a male and a female die that go through the hole, and it presses down, and it has that characteristic built into the two pieces. And so as the top piece comes down, smashes it between the two, it overforms it and actually does a coining process in which they smash them two together with a certain amount of pressure. And when the two dies come up, the material stays in that form. And that's kind of how we do it. But to understand how to design around it, though, is going to be really important to see the idea of the different pieces that are going together. Now, I have a kind of a messy diagram here. I'll be very admitting of that. And with that, we end up having this piece, and we have 3 dimples that I want to put inside of it. For simplicity, we're just going to say all of these dimples are the same size, and we have one bend line that we're going to do here in the middle. Now with that, there's 3 key measurements that you need to know when designing your dimples. The first one is the dimple tool outside diameter. So like I said, you have that top and bottom tool that's coming down and pressing through. That tool has to sit completely flat on that material, which means that anything within that diameter also needs to be flat, or it's going to get kind of smushed through that process as well. Within that, you end up having our purple is our major diameter of our dimple. And so that's going to be the outside of that dimple process. So if I draw and I have my dimple like this, where those tangent points are, this is going to be our dimple major diameter. And then lastly, our dimple size, this is the one that you're going to select. That's actually just that through diameter, the actual cutout that we're going to be putting into the part on the laser. And that right there is what's keyed through the process, through the dimple forming process on our actual hardware that we're using to make the mold. Now with that, we end up getting and deriving a handful of minimum distances that we need to have when doing the secondary operation, since it has to have these areas of clear space to get all of the press and the tooling through. Now the first one is the minimum distance from edge. Now this one can be slightly undersized from the actual tool diameter, but we end up running into an issue in which we'll get deformation on the edges as we get closer to it. So as we roll up, we're going to end up seeing that deformation is coming through, and we don't get a full dimple. And so with that, there's a minimum distance. Now each one of these minimum distances are dependent on the actual die and the dimple size that you're selecting. So with that, you're going to have to go to the guidelines for dimple forming, and then you can see that size and all of these relative dimensions with it. Now I'm going to skip over here to this one, which is the minimum distance to the center line of a bend. This one's critical because we have a handful of things that are coming into play here. We have, from our bending lessons, right, we have that area in which the die line essentially connects to. And we also have the tool diameter that is kind of be coming into play. Those two need to have a certain amount of space, or you're going to end up having a collision and you're not going to get a successful bend, or you're going to mess up your original bend that it was done on the CNC brake. So between these two right here, you end up having to have a minimum distance. These are all found through SendCutSend's trial and error, so you don't have to do any guesswork, just follow the guidelines there. The last one that we really care about is the minimum distance between two dimples. Now, for simplicity's sake, we've essentially taken the minimum distance of the two that are the same size dimple. Now, this is important because I have the tool OD here and I have the tool OD here. These have to be essentially clear of the radius of our actual major diameter of our dimple. And so these are guidelined to be a rule of thumb already on SendCutSend's website. But if you end up having different distances, what you have to do is you need to take the radius of your dimple OD on the one tool, and then the radius of the dimple OD on the secondary dimple size, and you're going to add those two up, and that's going to be your minimum distance. So you can do a little quick calculation on that, but essentially it's just the radius of the two ODs. So understand that. Now, dimple forming is a pretty straightforward process, but here's some things to expect when you are doing dimples. Excessive dimpling in a long part like this can add to bowing in the part. And since we're doing so much deformation and so much stretching, we can start seeing cupping in this part, and this is a good demonstration of that. One great way to solve this is to add a flange bend here, just like that piece of paper I showed, adds that backbone and brings this all back straight. So if you can afford that in your design, I highly recommend it. The next one is that tool marks may be seen. This is a coining process, so we're smashing the material between an upper and lower die, and that might come through. Things like powder coating, anodizing are gonna remove those marks. They're just cosmetic. And then the last thing is that just like all of the other hole operations, SendCutSend is automatically resizing these as long as that hole is under 4 inches in diameter of your original DXF. So if you have something that's 3 inches, you can select the 1/2 inch dimple and it's going to resize it back down. All right, and then the last thing is the minimum part size is going to depend on the dimple size that you are using, right? So if we have a 3-inch dimple, it's going to require a larger minimum part size than a 1/2 inch dimple. So you're going to end up having to check the guidelines for the most up-to-date information on that. Now that we kind of understand how that's working and what we need to consider, let's jump into CAD and check out how we can actually add a dimple to our parts. Now, once I'm in here, I have this long rectangular part to draw on. I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch, and we're going to draw on it. From there, we're going to add a construction line, and we're going to add it through the center of our part. Now, the next thing I want to do is add an actual circle. So we're going to hit C for circle. We're going to go to construction line again, turn that off. I want to draw an actual circle on this one. And let's say that we want to add a 1/2 inch circle here. So 0.5 is going to be the smallest dimple size that SendCutSend has to offer. And if we end up going to our guidelines, what we can do is add in what the tool diameter that we need to recommend in here. So if we go to circle again, we're going to go back to construction line. And I always add a construction circle that is equal to my minimum or my dimple tool OD size. For the 1/2 inch, it's going to be 1.20. So with this, what we can see here is that we have a handful of things. This is going to be the outermost part of anything that could get smashed during my manufacturing process. And then the hole on the inside is going to be my actual through hole in which I'm creating for SendCutSend to do the dimpling process. If I want to jump up to, say, a larger situation, let's say an 1.5 inch dimple, we're going to increase the outside diameter for the tool to 2.7 inches, and we're going to increase the hole through to 1.5 for a 1.5 dimple. We can see that that ratio kind of shrinks a little bit, and I'm pretty happy with that. Now, what we can do is we can do a little trick in here where we can do a pattern. So we're going to do a rectangular pattern of both of these. So we can keep an eye and make sure that our tool OD is not going to come in contact with one another. We're going to change our direction to symmetric, and we're going to go ahead and just drag this out. Now, if I'm really wanting to play as tight as possible, we're going to try to make these tangent or really close to being tangent. And so we have it set at 2.7. That allows us to have that minimum distance from dimple to dimple. And then I can increase these as much as I want. Oh, we have to change this to spacing. We'll change this back to 2.7. And now we end up having 4 dimples here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go ahead and cut out just those centers. So we're going to do the extrusion process, selecting our center of our holes, and cut all the way through. All right, now we know that we have proper spacing between the 2 of them because of that construction line. We can go ahead and create the DXF now and import this into SendCutSend. There's no reason to actually do the forming inside CAD, as it's not going to be able to be used since it needs to be a flat part. So now that we have the DXF into SendCutSend's website, we're going to go ahead and add the whole operation for dimples. Remember that we selected a 1.5 dimple, and we're going to just select the direction up or down. And now that we have that selected, we can automatically change to any dimple size here as we want. But remember that if we increase the hole size to, say, a 2-inch dimple or a 1.75 dimple, our spacing from hole to hole was not designed for that. And we're going to end up failing in DFM, as the 2 dimple sizes are not going to work. You're also going to get a warning. Now that once we have that 1.5 set up, we're going to add it to cart and go ahead and order. So dimples are a great way to add that rigidity and keep your parts extremely lightweight, and I love the cosmetic look as well. That ends this lesson, and the next one we're going to start talking about adding hardware to your designs. So we'll see you there.